Hello and welcome to Radio Free Nintendo. It is October 2nd, 2025. That means we are now in the month of October. Holy shit, where is this year going?
It's spooky season, James. Are you ready?
I'm already scared by your enthusiasm.
Spooky season. I'm spelling that S-Z-N, S-Z-N for Greg. So, get ready.
I don't think any of us were. Am I to take it that Guillaume and James were assumed that they would know how that was spelled, whereas me, in my my solitude.
Guillaume would be S-Z-N as well, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
So, but get ready, James.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Radio Free Nintendo. I'm James Jones. I'm joined today by John Lindemann.
It's great to be here.
Entirely. He's taking it down. Like, did you run out of fuel? Did you burn too hot?
That was it. That was what I got for this one.
I'm going to give that a minute. All right. I'm also joined today by Mr. Greg Leahy.
No, hoy, everyone.
And Mr. Guillaume Vayette.
Hello.
It is episode 946. That is one after 945, meaning we are 4 away from 950. As we said previously, we are not going to celebrate the 50s anymore. It's become somewhat, there's a lot of those. So we're now only really observing the hundreds. 1,000, we have no idea what we're going to do with it. You got a year to tell us. Honestly, though, we actually are currently on pace to do like 54 episodes this year. Because we had that double episode week, and we haven't missed any yet, I don't think. So we might be on pace to get there a little sooner than a year from now. So, you could tell us what you think we should do. That'd be cool. I'm down for that. Hey,
I don't know
email.
if you want random people on the internet telling us what we should do. I mean, they really don't have anything to lose. They're hidden by the cloak of anonymity, James.
I don't have to do it. If they send an email, it's not obligatory that I do what they ask.
All right.
It's just like coming up with ideas for segments isn't fun.
So
it's hard.
Your request has no teeth, is what you're saying.
I'm outsourcing, John. Right. I'm outsourcing. That's all this is. I had to deal with Paul marketing today.
Mm-hmm.
Like the most Paul marketing, the Paulest of marketing.
Yeah.
I'm not mentally prepared. There's some shit I could tell you after this that's fucking nightmarish, but I can't say it. I can't say it in the show. But holy fuck!
Yeah, I can believe it.
I got double Paul marketed. I can't deal with that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna talk about video games, and it's gonna take my mind off of. There are things I could tell this audience right now that would be very funny that I simply cannot, and that frustrates me. But we're going to not do that. We're going to not lose my job for that. So, ideas for the podcast, send them to rfn@nintendoworldreport.com. We put out a call for email last week. I even couched it in confrontational terms where you could tell John to fuck off by sending an email, and not many of you availed yourself of that opportunity.
What?
It's gone now.
See, this is the thing, James. The people are behind me, clearly. There's no malice out there.
We did at least get one email that directly told you to fuck off.
There's always one crazy person out there.
There's always one clear-eyed visionary.
Yes.
He is the John the Baptist of our emails. Yes, exactly.
Man. Oh, boy.
You can send us no, you know what? You must send us emails to rfn@nintendoworldreport.com. You say emails. James, why did you pluralize it? Clearly, you only want one email from me. No, I do not. Your duty is to send emails. How many emails? As many as your heart can muster. As many as stars in the sky.
Still put some effort in it, though, Just take a minute to think about what you want to ask before actually doing it.
Generate it with AI and send it in.
Yeah, don't go to Claude and be like, hey, I need 87 emails for RFN. It's going to be like, I can tell you now, using Claude at work, it's going to give you some goddamn horse shit. But hey, don't worry, it spent $2 million generating those emails, so fuck it, I guess.
It just sounded a little bit too much like you asking for spam. I think we get enough already.
Yeah, we do get a lot of spam. But, ideas, questions, comments, thoughts on episode 1000. I know it's 50 episodes away, but here's the thing. It's going to creep up on us. NWR chat episodes 2 felt like it wasn't that long ago. So we are probably going to have to do NWR chat episode 3. But if we do it right after 999, you're expecting it. And that's just not the RFN way. The RFN way would be to fuck it up and do it for 1001. But we'll figure it out. Send us stuff. Send us questions. Nintendo put out has announced they're going to sell you, the listening audience, a plastic Virtual Boy shell. I know we've talked about it extensively. I get that. But you people didn't flood our inbox with just what the fuck emails, which is the correct response. Like, that is deeply RFN level what the fuck is happening shit. So, like, think about the weird world we live in, specifically dealing with video games. I want to clarify that statement. I'm clarifying that statement. I'm specifically talking about with video games. Thank you. And hey, I bet the RFN crew has thoughts on this, and send it. Send it to us. RFN at NintendoWorldReport.com. Like, yes, some of these ideas I could just bring in as segments. I could just be like, fuck listener mail, I'm doing my own segment this week. But I want you to tell us what you care about. So, I'm giving them like all the emotions here. I'm trying to basically emotion bait them into sending an email. Like, I accusatory, judging. Now I'm like, let me help you. Be compassionate. You know, whatever way I can emotionally manipulate you to RFN at NintendoWorldReport.com, I will do it. So, with that out of the way, until the next time we do this later in the show, let's get down to some new business. My new business this week is I'm still fucking playing Donkey Kong Bonanza Emerald Rush. I'm so close to being done with Emerald Rush. Why did they set the target so far out? It's psychotic behavior by them. Why are they like this? But I'm almost done. I'm almost free of the Emerald Rush. And then, like, 8 games come out in the next 10 weeks. Because I will never be free. So, I will be playing some of that. I almost considered buying Talking Flower this week. Help me. Don't let me do it. Don't let me buy Talking Flower. I know I can't do it yet, but I really thought about it. So help me now. But that's all my new business. My new business is a cry for help. So I am going to turn it over to Greg, who has an update on Mario Kart World.
Yeah, sure. I might have talked about this last week, but didn't get around to it with some of the other things. Although there is something I want to say. We was talking last week about Mr. Driller 2 on the GBA expansion pack for Switch Online and all that, and talking about how low in price Mr. Driller Drill Land can go, which obviously is the GameCube game that was ported to Switch. And we was talking. I checked; it went on sale just this week on the UK eShop for under £2. I think it's $1.69. I mean, that is just like ridiculously cheap.
That's great value.
Again, if you've any interest in Mr. Driller at all, and you could gauge that by messing around with Mr. Driller 2 if you're an expansion pack subscriber first. But I mean, come on, it's a pittance, and I'd be surprised if you don't get enough out of it based on that. It is
$4.79 on the US eShop right now. But that sale ends October 6th, so you will not have much time when this episode comes out.
Sure, that still makes the $1.60 like disproportionately cheap. I don't know what's going on there. Usually it's somewhere in the ballpark of the US, sort of dollar price.
I mean, it's 84% off right now.
It's either way, it's pretty bonkers, but it seems especially piffling amount of currency in the UK eShop at the minute. So yeah, that is well worth looking at. And also didn't mention the fact that, of course, that is the first time that we've had like genuine third party games in the GBA part of the expansion pack, which, there's quite a lot of notable third-party games for the GBA. We've talked before about the fact that, when the GBA service really started, that I think expectations for how broad the kind of third-party stuff you might be, had to be a little bit kind of, modest, because these days it does just seem like a lot of the major publishers, that were active back then, on the Japanese side, who are, by far the most likely to be, dealing with Nintendo today and actually license their games on the for the Switch Online sort of platform, are more likely to put this stuff in collections. We've already seen this, for instance, with the Castlevania games, right? There's a Castlevania Advance Collection, for, stuff like, Harmony of Dissonance and whatnot. So they're not going to be on Switch Online as a result. So, yes, it's kind of natural that they might not be that wide ranging, but it's nice to see they finally got some. Not a surprise it's somebody like Namco, that they're dealing with, all the time. If Nintendo are, and then I believe those were, as we mentioned last week, those were Wii U eShop games. You've got some other things like, I think the Sonic Advance games were on the Wii U eShop in Japan, but not in the West, possibly because in the West, I think those games were published by THQ rather than Sega directly. So that's things like that complicate matters. It's another reason why you probably can't expect too many third-party games. But I've said before, I do hope some of these things that are, just not necessarily prime candidates for collections can maybe slip through, and that's a good destination for them. I've said before the Konami Gradius Galaxies, or Gradius Advance, I think it's known by both titles depending on where in the world it was. It might be a good candidate because, again, I'm not sure if it's possible, I guess. They've had the Gradius Origins collection. There might be a subsequent collection that it could go in with things like Gradius Gaiden and so forth, but it could also just be a candidate for something like that. So yeah, hopefully we'll see more of those, because there was a lot of good stuff on the GBA that wasn't from Nintendo.
Also, speaking of things being on sale, Guillaume talked about was it Crypt Cleaner? Was it?
Oh no, Crypt Custodian.
Crypt Custodian, yes. That is also on sale for the next couple weeks. It is 75% off.
Yeah, like that's pretty if you are open to playing indie games on the Switch One, or made for the Switch One, like the time is now. You can just reach out and pick them. They're ripe.
The fruit is falling off the tree.
Yes.
There was another one that I saw when I was looking at the sales today. I was like, oh, that's a game we've talked about a lot. Now I'm going back to mine. I should have written it down. Oh, D-Lit and Wonder Labyrinth, which is a game that I actually really, really like, is 55% off, which is its lowest price ever. The low price of $11. It is very good. It's a very good game. You should play it. It's super, like, if you like more actiony style Metroidvanias, it's very pretty. It's very pretty. And then West of Loathing is 69% off, because of course that's the percentage price they went with, of course. Was We Love Katamari Reroll, was that the good one, or there was one you didn't like as much, Guillaume?
No, well, I like them both, but the We Love Katamari is the one that's highly regarded, generally.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, so that's also 70. That's $750 right now. So hey, sales are available.
Yeah,
go and get them. Go and get them. But Greg, what else did you have to talk about?
Yeah, so there's something also that kind of went live last week, but I didn't get it around to talk about then, was not like a really substantial update to Mario Kart World, but a significant one, because it kind of came close to adding something I think I probably did mention on the air before that I would have liked. With Breath of the Wild, eventually there was an update with the sort of hero's path, or whatever they kind of termed it, where it like just showed you like everywhere you'd actually been from where you began on the map. And, that was something I kind of felt like an equivalent thing for Mario Kart World would be nice, because I'd got, I'd done all these P-Switch missions and collected all the medallions, and only the question mark tiles were the things that were tracked, right? So it's like, well, I know where they generally were and how many of them there were, so eventually I got all of those. But the other two kinds, you don't have much guidance, and the map isn't that kind of granular or anything, so some sort of update would have been nice to kind of help me maybe hunt down some more of those. And so this update that went up a bit ago now does that to a degree. It does not show exactly all the places that you've been in free roam in Mario Kart World's map. However, what it does do is it now has you can sort of scroll through different kind of overlays on the map when you bring it up, and one of them is like for all the P-switches you've done, and I am now at 366. So wow. It's a big, there's a big number of these little icons on the map, and you can warp to any of them. So you've got a much more granular warp points now than you had before. So that's something in itself. But of course, what it also tells you is you must have been there. If you've found that P switch and beaten the mission associated with it, that's somewhere you've been. It also shows you the locations of medallions, the Peach medallions, that you've collected. Which there's not as many of those. I mean, I've got 130 at this point. I don't know how high a percentage of the lot that is. I doubt it's as high as the percentage of the P-switch missions, just because the P-switches are larger and more in plain view most of the time. There's a handful of P-switches I can think of where they're more hidden. And that generally, what happens then is when you activate it, when it has the little sort of title of the mission, it has the word special in it, and it's a trickier kind of mission than usual. Mm-hmm. If it's one where it's not just like on the side of the road or in the middle of a field or whatever, like if it's actually hard to find, tends to be one of a handful of those sorts of things. But, what the P-switches in particular have allowed me to do is kind of say, okay, let's look at the map, look at the distribution of the P-switch icons of the ones I've done, and you can just sort of pick holes in the map and say, well, I haven't really found anything in this area. It might be just because there isn't much to find there, but it may be it's because I haven't really been there as much as I might think at this point, having spent quite a bit of time in the free roam mode. So by doing that, okay, let's see this area which looks kind of untouched relatively, and warp close by using one of the P-switch things that I have accomplished and start searching. I've filled in, quite a few more P-switch missions and a few more medallions as well. And even now, there's some of them that are, kind of relatively kind of different or challenging. So, I've still been quite taken with this whole kind of structure of sort of giving you the opportunity to explore oftentimes the kind of the new mechanics, with the tricks and the kind of driving up walls and all this kind of stuff, that the P-switch missions, some of them are kind of something and nothing, obviously, when there's however many there are. It might be as many as like 400 or something, but a lot of them have been fun to track down and to beat. So this, I guess, is kind of, it's not giving you anything too explicit, but it's giving me just, some help to go and rather than, because, I guess I've got a high enough percentage now that just kind of driving around completely aimlessly, almost just hoping to happen upon something, is going to be fruitless a lot of the time, but at least this lets me narrow it down somewhat to areas where there's some kind of higher percentage chance of coming across things. So, it was nice for them to do that. And again, it's kind of in keeping with the relatively hands-off nature of the whole free roam thing, which, there's pluses and minuses to that. I think, in some ways, Maybe I feel like I've got quite a lot out of it, but maybe other players might have got more if it was less hands-off and had more like explicit incentive structures and, you know, kind of breadcrumbing towards particular challenges and things. But you know, that's not the approach they've taken with it. And like I said, there's elements of that that's refreshing for Nintendo, because, you know, a lot of the time they're really very, very reticent to, you know, kind of leave it to chance whether someone's going to enjoy the content that they've created for something. They're going to end up putting it right in front of your nose. You know, that's generally, you know, and not just Nintendo. That's really going to be a lot of developers. So yeah, it's kind of in keeping with that, but it's something, and it's helped me, you know, get a little bit more out of the free roam. And then the other thing that came along with the update that was of interest to me was the fact that also you can now join a friend's game if they're playing in the Knockout Tour online. Before that was not possible. It was, I think it was only just the regular race. And I could kind of understand it from the point of view that, like, the Knockout Tour stuff, obviously it's longer form, considerably longer form, right? So if you're joining a friend's game, like, while they're off play, there's going to be more waiting involved, isn't there, right? You know, for that first race that they're racing in while you're waiting to join them to end. And then obviously when you get into the race, like, well, one person can get eliminated, or, you know, then their friend is kind of like racing, you know, by themselves, you know, then you're waiting for the race to end before you could sort of start again. So I could see why it wasn't a priority necessarily, but still, I feel like it's nice to be able to, you know, have that option of just like, oh, you know, if you see a friend online that's playing Knockout Tour, let's just piggyback onto that and, you know, play alongside them for a while. Like that feels like it's something that should have been there. And again, I can understand why it isn't as high a priority as maybe other things, but, you know, I'm glad it's changed, and that's you know, another thing that kind of, is going to probably extend, you know, how much I could get out of it, for a bit longer, because, you know, the Knockout Tour stuff I do like, you know, it definitely kind of adds to, I feel like, especially now that they've adjusted it a little bit, not hugely, but they've adjusted it kind of, the regular races where you get more of the kind of tracks that are just isolated. Then, yeah, they're not doing that. You go from the one point of the map to the other thing as much. Like, it basically is just like when the course selection screen comes up, what happens now is more often the three options, one of them will be something that's off on another part of the world map, right? That is not directly connected to where you currently are. And there's a couple of reasons why I'm not as hung up on the lap thing necessarily, because I quite like the connective, like, segments, the point to point element there. But what can happen when you're playing online, is that, like, basically because the selection of tracks, if it sticks rigidly to the idea of, like, it's local to what part of the map you're currently in, you can kind of get trapped. You're like in a particular corner of the world and you just kind of go round in circles of the same few tracks in a particular area. So I feel like it was necessary to increase the probability of a track coming up that's on a different part of the map to get you away from there and you know, get you like some different types of, you know, different themes of things. And sometimes they're a little bit similar, right? It's like, well, you know, Dry Bones, track is like near the Bowser track. So they're both kind of lava-ish, and it's like, yeah, I don't want to be trapped in that corner of the map forever. So that was something that I think they've addressed in previous updates, and they may have even cranked it a little bit more in the direction of getting the odd kind of disconnected track further. And so what that does now is kind of make that part of it more different from the Knockout Tour, right? You know, that's your two kind of big online race modes, and you know that now kind of keeps them a bit more distinct, you know, because obviously the Knockout Tour, the whole point of it is that it's one continuous point to point thing that extends, you know, this big long journey across the map, right? Whereas now the race is you know, there's still, you know, a fair amount of that just for like one particular kind of course a fair amount of the time, but there's more of the 3 laps around a particular track and just mixing up the tracks a bit. So it's been a while, hasn't it now? It's been months that it's been out, so it's not before time, but it feels like there's some balancing stuff here that's, helping, even if it's not necessarily the kind of more substantial kind of DLC type stuff that we might have imagined would have been here by now. We certainly wouldn't imagine that we would have got DK Bonanza DLC before we got DK Bonanza costumes in Mario Kart as DLC. But it is a bit of an upset in that way, but equally you kind of feel like this game already has sold so many copies, they're not going to be forgetting about it anytime soon. I would assume updates and possibly paid things are very much going to keep coming down the line here.
Yeah, I mean, Nintendo obviously hopes this is the forever game like Mario Kart 8, so that would make sense. They're going to keep things to keep it in mind as time goes on. So this would be a good time to drop it just because it makes people talk about the game again in October. Also, consoles are, I'm not going to say widely available, but I mean, I saw 8 on a shelf the other day. They had just been deposited there, but being able to just walk in and buy up to 8 of them was pretty shocking. I don't have $2,000 to just buy worth of Switch 2s, but I could have.
Yeah, and I mean, just in general, you don't really see like the fervor around, oh my god, everything is out of stock, like you did around, like with with the PS5, for example.
Well, but the pandemic really made that worse. But
that's the obvious. And you've got to think Nintendo. I mean, they genuinely seem to have done a good job of building up the units here and actually keeping them flowing. The sales pace is very, very good, and a lot of that is probably because of the amount of units they built up. But it seems like that was a priority this time, and they've done it. But we are going to be, with it being October, we're going to be entering a new phase. And very specifically, there's going to be that bundle that has Pokemon Legends Z2A instead of Mario Kart, for instance.
Right.
So, we are going into a new phase now. There's going to be some pretty major releases like every couple of weeks. Yeah, how well they keep up with all that is kind of interesting. For me, Mario Kart wise, it's still, and I don't know how well this fits in with, the game they've designed or, all the different modes that are in it. But it's 200cc for me that still would be the thing that I would like to see them add to it. Rather more than, cosmetic things or different characters or any of that kind of stuff. That's where I'd love to see them get to. But, like I said, no, that I am not banking on that by any means. That is something that it was a kind of, a little bit of a weird, outcome of the Mario Kart 8 scenario. You know what I mean? You kind of feel like if they hadn't been in the middle of that Wii U situation where everything was so desperate, would we ever have seen 200cc? I don't know. So I'm not by any means complacent about it coming back, but I would love to see it. Yeah,
and people were kind of shocked Donkey Kong got DLC first. I think it actually totally makes sense just because of what that game is. But I mean, DLC is going to come for this thing probably next year.
Oh, yeah. No, and in terms of what I would say, it's just that the weird conspicuous absence of DK costumes in Mario Kart World.
That's the part.
It kind of seemed like they might have sliced them off the top to update them when Bonanza came out or something to, kind of just do a bit of synergistic, promotion. And then it's like, no, it's not only is it not that, but DK is going to get DLC before, and it still won't happen.
Yeah. I don't get it. I would love to see DK and Pauline as a single racer in this game. Just it could be a DK costume. Pauline's just there, but he looks so much better in Bonanza than he does in Mario Kart World, even though they obviously...
It is still the design is clearly informed by the same, redesign that's gone into, but yeah, I mean, it's just, it's a different game, or it's a different kind of game, and, he's not a sole, kind of protagonist figure that he is in Bonanza, so it's just they haven't spent as much time lovingly animating him or whatever, but yeah, it's something a little closer wouldn't go amiss.
It could very well be that the maybe in Mario Kart World, the cutoff for when they needed the design done, because as you said, he's one character in many, was much earlier than what Bonanza had. So maybe they kept refining the design after the cut point for World, and the Bonanza's where it ended up. It is very funny though that the movie just seems completely uninformed by it, and then the stuff in the recently added DK land at the parks is uninformed by either of them. So Nintendo might need to do some standardization around their DK, is what I am suggesting. And it starts with him never speaking again in any movie. Step 1, mute him. Step 2, go with the new design. The new design is so much better. Let's see. Who do I want to have go next? John, why don't you go next?
Sure. I've been playing Everybody's Golf Hot Shots. I feel like the title kind of makes me laugh because it feels like it's just a concatenation of every single title they've ever had for any game in this series. But
yeah, well, it's like Resident Evil Biohazard, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, so this one, like a dragon.
Yep, exactly. So this one is not done by Claphands, who has done some previous iterations or the previous iterations. This one is actually, strangely enough, done by Bandai Namco. So of course this is arcade golf, very much in the vein of Mario Golf. And this one has kind of gotten a mixed reception, you know. Of course there is an ardent Everybody's Golf fan base out there. And
yes.
And so this one, it's interesting because I think the big thing with this is, like, first off, I mean it plays pretty well. It's simple golf where, you know, you when you have to swing, you just click your button at one end of the meter. You click it at the other end, and then you click it at the where it started, right? So basically, it's like kind of like a two-click, two-click tee-off sort of thing, and swinging and stuff like that. So it's very, very easy to understand. I think where this one falls down, the graphics are really not great. The graphics look like PS4 quality, like straight up. And so, but with this kind of game, I don't really care. I don't really hold that against it too much. But I think, from what I've seen, I haven't seen too much of this, but it's pretty glitchy. I think just in general, the community has found a whole bunch of bugs with it. I haven't seen too many of them, even though I have seen some strange behavior with balls going out of bounds and being marked as out of bounds, but not really, but being like, you know, just because of the way the hole is. There's one hole in particular where there's a rock wall about, you know, probably 10 yards off the hole, and even though you're about seemingly 5 feet from the green, if your ball hits that rock wall and falls down to the bottom of the wall, it's out of bounds. So there's some weird stuff like that going on. But overall, it plays pretty well. I think it's putting is extremely difficult. That is the one thing. Just because you really have to overcompensate, and, you know, because it's, you know, much like all of these arcade golf games, they have the grid when you putt, and there's the little indicators, kind of, you know, the little flowing indicators on the grid lines that indicate the slope, right? You really have to overcompensate more so than you typically do. I mean, what I actually started telling myself was, if you think that's how far you need to go to the left or right of the hole to compensate for that slope, then you're probably wrong. And I was actually right. So you generally, you go further than you think you have to, and you'll usually be okay. But one of the main issues, though, is it's just, it is, like I said, it's incredibly hard to putt. But also, too, it's like, you have to grind a lot in this game to open up all of the different kind of characters and caddies. And that is just straight up going through the world tour, grinding through challenge mode. There's just a lot of grinding that you have to do to unlock the stuff in this game. So, you know, if you mostly want to, you know, play online with friends and stuff and don't really care too much about unlocking things and having, you know, a wide breadth of characters and clubs and balls and stuff, because you do earn currency in the game, and you know, you can unlock all kinds of stuff, like balls that do particular things, and, you know, balls that, you know, if you shank a shot, it doesn't actually affect the ball as much as it would a normal ball and stuff like that. You can buy all kinds of things like that in the store. But a lot of it requires you to just sit there and kind of mindlessly go through the story mode, which is intolerable. The silliest stuff, silliest characters. Just the the dialogue from the characters is just completely insipid. I mean, like the one that, like, so to my point, I have 2 characters unlocked just because, I've been playing, I haven't really been going through the story very much. So, I haven't, or any of the challenge modes. So I haven't really been unlocking too much stuff, but you really have to make a concerted effort to actually unlock stuff. A lot of people have also been complaining about the chatter from your characters when you're actually playing out on the green and stuff. They just never shut up, and they say the same thing over and over again. So, but yeah, I mean, it's fairly fun. I mean, I think it's disappointing. I think in the sense that I felt like it would have been a lot better, and I think probably the previous version, which I played, if anybody recalls that I talked about on a previous podcast, it was the quickest that I've ever discovered a game, found out that there was a sequel, and then, that was within a week. I discovered this game, played through it, wondered if there was a sequel, checked if there was a sequel, and found out there was a sequel coming out in like 3 months. So it was pretty crazy. I was in the game, and to add to that, the last version of Everybody's Golf is like from like 5 years ago or something. It's not a new game, so I caught it right before they released the new version, which was kind of cool. But I mean, I can't say I'm not enjoying it, but man, I just think it could have been quite a bit better. I feel like. So that's it.
Fair. No, that's totally fair. This is weird because I'm surprised Clap Hands isn't involved in it, because as near as I tell, that's the only thing they do.
Yeah, I don't know what else they do, but I'll double check that. But it's
that
Bandai
seems
Namco.
to be their job.
Yeah.
So Bandai Namco has had control of the franchise for a while, maybe always. But it could be because Clap Hands has really tight ties with PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe because this is, because I'm pretty sure Clap Hands worked on the 2021 game, Easy Come, Easy Golf.
Yeah. This one is developed by Hyde, Hyde, which stands for something, and I forget what it is, but it stands for it's a clever acronym for something, but it's published by Bandai Namco. Yeah. So,
yeah, that's odd.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it could be that Hyde is just full of a bunch of former Clap Hands people.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, the last game is from 2017. It's the first to be developed by Hyde instead of longtime developer Clap Hands.
It is entirely possible that Hyde is full of former Clap Hands people.
And
that's what it feels like.
Yeah, and you're right, James. Literally, they have nothing else, but they have done nothing else but Everybody's Golf.
I feel like there was a game that was like, a little bit one of those where it's like, they're trying to make it without the brand. One of those type of scenarios in this vein. Somebody made somebody made a game that was essentially like, oh well, it's us, the guys that make that game. We can't use it's an actual name though, but we're doing it, and it had. I feel like it was not
spiritual
terribly
successor.
long ago. Yeah, spiritual successor type of scenario.
Yeah, the last game that Clap Hands made was last year, and it was Ultimate Swing Golf, but it was for MetaQuest and its variants.
Oh, dear God.
That was the last one they did. And then they did...
I think it is Easy Come, Easy Golf is what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's Easy Come, Easy... I was just about to read that. It's Easy Come, Easy Golf.
Yeah,
that came out
Clap Hands.
Yep, that came out in 2021, and that was for iOS, macOS, and Switch, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I remember this game. Because you're right, it doesn't have the name, but boy, does it look for all the world to be kind of one of those.
Yeah.
But also it's got the weird, like, low-budget mobile veneer on top of it, so all the character models look bad.
Yeah.
But then again, as you said, this sounds like a 2024, a PS4 game. This looks like a 2013 game, so...
Yeah.
This is bad. I'm looking at the image they choose to show as the first image for Easy Come, Easy Golf, which was also my nickname.
That's what they called you in college.
That's right. I don't even know how to make sense of this. This is bad. This looks real bad. And anyway, I'm just now thinking.
I think it's fair to ask how you can screw up everybody's golf. They don't really have to do too much.
You have to try. Like, this goes all the way back to Camelot's DNA. So, like, I guess the answer is you just don't put the effort in to make it good. Like, there's a certain amount of polish that those games are expected to have, and you just don't apply any of it. Mm-hmm. Also, I like that no two faces in this game appear to be from the same game. What is going on?
Yeah.
Oh, easy come, easy nightmare. All right, whatever.
Yeah, but I would say if you really have a jonesing for everybody's golf, this will do the trick. But don't expect to be bowled over by this game.
I'm trying to think of a golf pun that we can replace.
Yeah,
bowled
there's
over
nothing.
With.
I would say this is.
Don't expect this game to be a hole in one.
Yeah, it's not a hole in one. I would say this game would be maybe. I would say this game would be par. It would not be a birdie.
Oh, I was gonna say it's a bogey on the back nine.
Yeah, I wouldn't go as far to say it's a bogey. Maybe it's bogey-ish, but
it's a single bogey, not necessarily like a triple bogey.
Yeah. It's just and there's a bunch of modes in it, right? Like you can, there's a bunch but some of the modes are kind of silly. I mean, there's one where your ball explodes several times when you're done with it, kind of thing. So it's sort of like, you tee off and your ball lands, and then all of a sudden it explodes and goes one way, and then explodes and goes another, and then that's where your actual lie is, right? So there's stuff like that, which is fine to play through. But some of the ones, like there's one mode called Survival Golf, and it's weird because what it is you play you play against another player, and somebody randomly gets a club taken away from them.
Nice.
And so when I started playing it, I thought, okay, well, obviously what's going to happen is, you still play it's still stroke play, right? Like you're trying to get the best score. And I assumed that eventually by the end of the game, you'll play, all 18 holes, and then it's still whoever has the best score wins. But it's actually not that. It's whoever runs out of clubs the quickest. And I was like, wow, that is so weird. Like, why are you even playing?
It's Uno with clubs?
Yeah, like, why are you even playing golf then? Like, what is the point of this? Like, I
could run out of clubs real fast. I'll just go run in the water hazard and chuck them in there.
Yeah,
done.
Well,
I win.
Well, but not only that, is that whoever loses clubs, it's completely random. So it's not like one person equally loses clubs after every shot. They spin a wheel. It's like a Forza Horizon type slot machine kind of thing, where it's like a wheel spinner, but it's random. So one person could lose 3 clubs in after their shot, and then the other person could lose none. So it's completely random. It's just a very stupid mode to me.
That does seem like a dumb mode.
Yeah, so whoever wins, really, it's just completely RNG. Pretty much has nothing to do with how well you play. It's just kind of silly. And there's some stuff in there like that where, yeah, it just makes you wonder really what they were thinking. But I mean, I'm gonna go through it, and I'll over time I'll unlock things just to have a greater variety, because you can level up your caddies and stuff like that, and they have different costumes to unlock and all kinds of stuff like that. I mean, I pre-ordered this because I wanted to play it out of the gate. So supposedly you can play as Pac-Man, of course, Namkai Bandai, yep. Of course. We've said that before.
Yeah, Namkai Bandai, my favorite company.
Yep, my favorite company as well. And so, yeah, apparently I should be able to play as Pac-Man at some point. I have not found out.
You can play as Cat Pan?
Yeah, Cat Pan. I have not figured out how to do that up to this point. So,
what if it doesn't work? That'd be really funny.
I don't know. I mean, I couldn't even get online to play, like when the game first launched. It just wouldn't work. So it's just goofy.
Love it.
This game is a little bit goofy. They've patched it a couple times, and I think they patched it on Steam, and they made things worse, and like people were like, "What the hell?"
Yes.
So
can we call this the curse of clap hands?
Yeah. So overall, the community is let's just say they're very lukewarm on this game.
I love that we had 2 like two companies like, well, I'll just do my own thing, and both of them appear to have fucked it up.
Yeah. But it does make me laugh though, because you go on the Everybody's Golf subreddit, and there's just one guy where it's like, I had to laugh. He said, "Yeah, I unlocked everything in the game. Played everything in the single player mode. I platinumed this thing. It took me about 170 hours. But yeah, this game sucks." It's like everybody's like, okay.
Took me 170 hours to figure out.
He was sort of like just saying, like, if you're wondering how long it takes to unlock everything, it's 170 hours. But yeah, this game is terrible, and I platinumed it. And people were like, "What? Who are you? You sat there and played the game you hate the game, but you sat there and played it for 170 hours and platinumed it? Like, all right."
I'm afraid I can't say anything thinking back to some of my early reviews, so I will simply choose not to.
Yeah, right. But yeah,
at least I was doing it for the benefit of others.
Yeah, but rest assured, there are Everybody's Golf sickos out there. So
I mean, that's good, I guess. I don't know. I hope they enjoy it. I hope they're happy.
It's just been kind of a small window. Like, I just bought this game just kind of as a goof, right? And it's like this. It's kind of been a window into a whole new community that I didn't realize was as hardcore as it is. But to each their own.
You've entered into the Everybody Golf verse.
Yeah. Yep.
Congratulations. Anything else you want to talk about, John?
No, I did pick up Raiden Nova. Played it a little bit. A couple of quick comments on that before I really. I at some point I plan to actually kind of dive into it a bit more, but interesting. Of course, it has that kind of. This is by Moss, again, the same people that do like all the Raiden games and their coffee loving wonderfulness. This one is more. The reason why I picked this up, aside from the fact that it was on sale, is that it's like a top down kind of twin stick shooter. Kind of in the vein of like Super Stardust or something like that. Of course, you're on a flat plane. You're not on a globe like you are in Super Stardust. But and so you can go anywhere. Like you can go in any direction, shoot in any direction. Of course, you have bombs and things like that. And you have very much like Super Stardust. You have kind of a sprint button where you can streak across the screen, and you're invincible for a moment or two if you ever get into a jam. And then you're attacked by waves of, jet fighters and stuff like that. And then you eventually have a boss to fight at the end before you move on to the next level. Very difficult. It's not as text heavy as some of the Raiden games are. I know we've talked about them before and made fun of how just ridiculously verbose they are and how they have way more voiceover and way more text than you would ever want in a shooter. This one doesn't really have that. It does have, multiple ships and, multiple weapons to choose from, which is, very Raiden. But yeah, just very, very difficult. It's a lot of times it's very hard to evade all of the different waves because they don't come at you really in as predictable a fashion as they would in something like Super Stardust. But yeah, it's just very difficult and so, I'm gonna have to sink my teeth into it and see. I think its difficulty is really going to be predicated by which weapons you choose. It really feels like the weapon you choose is really a kind of a sink or swim kind of thing. So probably more to come on that eventually.
Cool. Guillaume.
Yeah, I haven't been up to much. Karen and I have been quietly playing through and recently finished, goddammit, Star-Crossed Worlds? Star-Crossed?
Yes.
Yeah, Kirby. Fuck me. Kirby Star-Crossed World, that can be the title.
Kirby and the Forgotten Land plus Star-Crossed World, Nintendo Switch 2 edition. We've said it before.
Right. Yeah, it was way too short to be the actual title. So, yeah, we quietly finished Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Star-Crossed World, the DLC for the Nintendo Switch 2. And, it was probably not a ton of content, but because we've been playing through it basically at a very slow pace, one level a night, basically, at most. yeah, it felt like it lasted a while. So, pro tip, play your game slowly if you find that they're too short. I don't know what I'm doing right now. Yeah, it was nice. It was nice to revisit. Like, it was nicer to revisit this game than I thought it would be. Like, this is a game that Karen and I, once we saw the credits, we didn't really go back to because it looked like it was heading towards a post game that was a little bit too punishing, which is funny to say about a Kirby game, but that's actually often the case. Like, they're actually like that's when those games, if they ever bear their fangs, that's when they do it. After you've rolled the credits. And I guess we just weren't feeling like that, like tackling that kind of challenge. And so like we just put it away and kind of forgot about it. So this is a nice opportunity to revisit mostly the same levels, but with a few, changes to it, all new missions, a new story, if you care about that, but it's basically the same excuse to rescue, like a dozen little critters in every level. The one thing that's funny is that it had been long enough since we last played this game that we forgot all about all the different systems that you can use if you find it a little bit too hard. And so I don't know, like we went into it and we didn't bother to rediscover Waddle Dee Village or anything, Waddle Dee Town or anything like that. There are places where you can go and refill your health or gain like a second life bar if you need it. You've got power-ups to do more damage, to get more defense, more speed. Turns out that there was like a weapon that I could unlock post-game that I hadn't unlocked, like the final version of the hammer. I did none of that. And so we faced the final boss of Star-Crossed World. It felt really, really hard. Like, it was really challenging, and it felt often maybe a little bit unfair. And the whole time I was thinking, like, they're asking kids to beat this dude? Like, this is way too hard. Like, I don't know what's happening right now. And it turns out that there were, afterwards, once we actually beat the final boss, like, I realized, like, oh yeah, there's a ton of things that I could have been doing to make it much, much easier on us. But, yeah, I don't know. So I guess that's my warning to people. Actually, just, like, go around the Waddle Dee Town, maybe like just to refresh your memory if it's been a while since you've played this game. And you might find some new stuff, like King DDD might be chilling in some corner of the village, just waiting to hand you the schematics for his, fully powered hammer. That actually does a tremendous difference when you're doing like the bus rush or anything like that. Other than that, like we actually hadn't rescued all the Waddle Dees in the full game either, so we just decided we just we kept playing actually, and we're not doing the extra hard stages that unlock after the main game, but we are going back and doing all the stuff that we missed over the course of the main game. Some of it is more fun than others. Like, there are a lot of challenges where like, like defeat these enemies without taking a hit, and sometimes that's actually kind of infuriating. It's not terribly difficult, but like sometimes these battles will be actually at the end of a level, and so if you get hit, if one enemy touches you, it's like, okay, guess there's no point in continuing. You just start over and do the full stage again and go and try the battle again. So that's what we're dealing with right now, and so that's kind of reminding me why we didn't find all the Waddle Dees in the first place. Some of it might have been a little bit bullshit in the main game. In the DLC, as far as like we had an easier time. I feel like they got away from that a little bit. They moved away from that kind of challenge a little bit. Like, there are a few that, you're not supposed to take damage, but they're not as aggravating. So yeah, so I don't know. Like, it's a really good experience, and it's just like every time, like it's so nice to be reminded of how good this game looks and how well animated, and that like the amount of care that was put into it. You know, like they didn't have to have the Waldo D that upgrades your weapons. Like, they didn't have to have it like on this kind of like Mad Max contraption, like kind of this moving chair where like he just like drops down his like aviator glasses and goes back into his shop and just starts working on, you know, like tinkering with the weapons. And like there's a ton of things that could have been just a menu, and they just make this elaborate thing to make it more alive, more fun, more cartoony. And yeah, that's where the strength of this game is, really. Like, just how colorful, how, you know, full of character everything is.
Yeah,
so
it's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's basically it. Other than that, like, I'm just I finished up Pepper Grinder. It was very good. I was at the final boss when I last talked about the game, and I beat it pretty quickly after I talked about it. And great game. I don't think I'm going to be going back to it. Like, there are time attack challenges that you can do. They seem a little bit too on the punishing side for me to actually try to bother. I guess, like, I was playing that game, I was not looking for kind of like an excruciating challenge where you kind of just constantly try to shave seconds off your time. Like, that's not really what I was into. But the main game, you can find it for pretty cheap most of the time, and it's fantastic. And other than that, I finally went and ordered a PowerA slim case for my Switch 2. I was tired of waiting for the official Nintendo cases to be available. Like, what the hell is going on with that? Like, do we know? Like, has anyone ever seen one? I kind of doubt it.
So Nintendo did this with Switch as well, where they licensed a bunch of third-party manufacturers to make accessories. This could be the same thing,
right? Yeah. So there are, you know, there are a lot of third parties making cases, but there is an official Nintendo one.
No.
I've never seen it in stock, and so. Yeah, what the hell? So I went with PowerA on DekuDeals.com. They actually have these kind of buying guides for various Switch 2 accessories. So I just went with, you know, what they were recommending. PowerA seemed to be like the cheapest and best made one of those. So I got it. It looks pretty good. It does seem like the Switch 2 is a little bit loose in it, though. Like, there's kind of some give, and feels like it could shake in there. It could rattle. So that's a little bit weird.
Oh, go ahead.
No. Well, sometimes, like, you know, like the previous case that I had for the Switch, like, it's very snug. It doesn't move in there, and I feel like that's what you want. But maybe I'm wrong.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
There are a lot of if you go to the Nintendo store, their website, they sell a lot of other manufacturers' cases that they've licensed on there. So Hori's got one, PowerA. Probably the one you bought is PowerA.
Yeah.
There's another one whose manufacturer I can't figure out on here. And then there's this big hoss of a pouch that's like a cooler that holds everything, including a controller.
I kind of want that. That would be useful.
It's sold out.
Yeah.
But
it's been sold out forever.
I don't know that it's a Nintendo official product. I know Nintendo's name is on it, but I don't see the Nintendo seal, like the Nintendo. It might be an official Nintendo product, but I feel like it's probably manufactured by somebody else and they licensed their name on it. From the looks of it. You could buy it on there's a couple websites that seem to have it sometimes, but I don't know. It's weird.
Anyway, I was tired of waiting, so I just went with the next best thing, I guess. I also got a pair of screen protectors, but I guess like the when I installed one on my first Switch, I was very careful. I did it really well. It went really well. Like there was no dust under there. I just did this one before we started recording. I was in way too much of a hurry, and that's just I'm thankful that they all come in like pairs these days. Like you don't get one, you get two. I think probably because of this, because you're going to mess up the first one that you try to install, and so you get a second one to you get to try again. I was stupid. Like I didn't even like dust, and like I tried it. There are a few like tips that I've seen online, like do it in your bathroom after having had like a hot shower. Yep. So that basically the dust clumps or, like doesn't float in the air, it just like falls to it sticks to the whatever surfaces there are. But also like maybe like, it wouldn't kill me to actually kind of clean my bathroom once in a while, get rid of some of that dust. So I didn't do that. And then, well, actually, like the fact that 2 came in the packaging kind of played against me because I was following the instructions and I was holding the tab that I was supposed to peel off the screen protector. But there was something off about it. Like I was like looking at the thing and I was like, am I pulling at 2 things at once? Like what's happening here? Turns out I was holding both screen protectors at the same time and kind of like, I don't know how I didn't figure it out, but yeah, I didn't figure it out. So I ended up putting the screen protector with the sticky side up, like I let it rest on my counter. All the dust just immediately just went in there, had a party. And so like there was no way, like I tried to install it, but like it's full of little pockets of air that are actually like caused by a piece of dust. So it's like, I can't just like push it out, like it's going to remain like this. It looks ugly as hell. It's terrible. So I guess like this is a PSA basically to our listeners. Like if you're going to install a screen protector, do it right. Take your time. Don't do what I did.
The Steam does work. I've done it with phones in the past. It is actually a really effective approach to keeping the dust down, but you have to let it steam up for a little bit. So I just ran the shit. Now, granted, I have gas, heat, water. It gets if I just turn that thing to full hot, it's dangerous. So it doesn't take very long to steam up my bathroom. It's a sauna in about 3 minutes. But yeah, it's going to depend on your situation.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, on that, we are going to take a break, and when we return, I don't know, probably listener mail. So stay tuned. We are back, and I told you would get a second pitch for listener mail, this time with less emotional abuse. I didn't say no emotional abuse. I can't make promises I won't keep. There is a prospect, maybe limited, but there is a prospect that this appeal for your email will involve some kind of emotional manipulation because that is a service that we offer here at Radio Free Nintendo. So, emails. My heart hurts. I need emails to fill that void. So you can do that for me. I'm not asking you to tell John to fuck off this week. I'm not. This is a non-confrontational email appeal. This is the email appeal of agapic love for your brother in the world. Send us your email to make me feel more whole. Make me feel like y'all appreciate the work we do because this is how you pay us. You pay us in email. You could pay us in cash. I won't be upset. But if you pay us an email, that's progress. We can talk about financial arrangements later. Right now, I just want you to pay us an email. We can talk about the financials later. Right now, it's just email. So, emails. John, where are they going to send their emails? Where are they going to make me feel whole again?
RFN@NintendoWorldReport.com.
The disgust in his voice is
RFN
beautiful.
RFN@NintendoWorldReport.com.
I said there. I didn't say there'd be no emotional abuse. It just happens to be targeted at someone else on the show today.
I mean, I'm just here I'm just spitting the facts, James.
Repeat the phrase, monkey. These emails come from you, like they do every week, and so I'm going to read this email from you because it came from you. Hamo writes, "Hi, RFN. Growing up with video games, I remember a time when I felt the credits to games used to add to the overall experience. Some offered the narrative finality only a party in a field could. I don't know why I put a pause there. Some offered the narrative finality that only a party in a field could, Ocarina of Time. Some reminding you of all the locations you had seen on your journey, basically any 5th gen platformer, and others even worked a narrative prequels. Resident Evil 4. My question is, what are your favorite credits in games you have experienced before? And do you feel games can still produce memorable credits?" I had forgotten about the Resident Evil 4 one, so I guess memorable is all in the eye of the beholder here.
It was ages ago, to be fair. It was like 20 years ago.
Yeah, but that's not when I last played it. I've played it at least sure. In the last 3 or 4 years.
It's like a whole other version of the game now. Like there's essentially a completely different game with the same basic scenario.
You are correct. There are many, many, many games at this point that are called Resident Evil 4. I have one, but it's very, very recent. So I would, I mean, obviously any of the Smash Brothers games get in there because they all have weird little gimmicks that are fun, at least the first time. Eventually they kind of get old. I'm gonna be honest. But
well, yeah, if you do the whole I'm gonna clear classic mode with every character, and then you press it start and speeded through it, which they let you do. So that's nice. Yeah. But yeah, once you've got what you think is pretty much the best score you're ever gonna get at, destroying all the names on the credits,
they all must go again for the 30th time.
And it is, the credits on Smash Bros. Ultimate somewhat longer than they were on like N64 and GameCube.
They got longer every few months. It felt like it was like, oh my god.
Yeah, that's part of it now. Where if somebody was going to do something clever with the credits for most of these games, they'd have to think of an experience that would last 20 minutes.
Yeah, well, this is it. Yeah, I've got to say my answers for this are overwhelmingly from when I was a young child. And some of that is just because you're younger and everything's newer and it's more memorable. A lot of it is that, but then, I'm sure in terms of the latter part of the question about do you still feel they're producing memorable credit? I assume there is, at least to some extent, but the problem is with me at this point with a lot of games is just like, I assume this credit sequence is going to go on for 20 minutes, so I'm just going to put the controller down and, go and do something else for a bit. I can remember that one time where that was relevant was the time when I finished Arkham City and I'd heard that John's name was buried in the credits somewhere.
That's true.
I did not stick around for the name to come up. I knew this and thought, well, I'm just going to have to take their word for it. And when I came back from making a sandwich or whatever, it just so happened I saw his name scrolling on there anyway.
Oh, okay, good. So I don't really know how to take that. I don't know whether I should feel good about it. But
John, it's pure kismet, John. I don't know what anyone can make of it.
Yeah. So you didn't want to see it, but you just happened to.
I was entirely sanguine that I might not see it. It wasn't gonna. I knew it was gonna be a small army of people.
But the thing is, though, it almost seemed like you really didn't care if you saw it or not because you felt that obviously making a sandwich took priority. So
it could have been it was, again, also a long time ago at this point. Was it a sandwich? Was it other bodily function related important things?
Was it just walking into a corner and staring at the wall that you thought was more important?
Could have been.
Who knows? Who knows?
Great appreciator of sunsets. I might have just thought, can't miss this one. The great British sunset. That's way better than John's name.
You got a song in your heart, Greg. I know it.
Yeah, who can say?
Yep.
But
I didn't say that I would be the one administering the emotional abuse here. I do want to say, John.
I think the cheek of it is I say that as like a recent example. And what was that, like 14 years ago?
Yeah,
something like that.
Like 2010, I think it was 2011.
Yeah, it's more recent than the majority of the. For me, definitely the first memorable credit sequence for me was Castlevania, right? Because you get the for the relative primitive sort of tools at the disposal. You had the little cinematic sort of sequence of the castle crumbling, and then you had a credit sequence which was not for the developers. It was just this weird little joke referencing the game's inspirations, really, with stupid puns, right? So it's like, oh, well, this is essentially exists because presumably people at Konami had seen the old Universal, monster movies and their Hammer, like, remake, in colour type things from like the late 50s and 60s. So we're just gonna have, Christopher B. and Boris Karloffis and all this sort of stuff, just like this very surreal. Some of those were ones that even as an adult I wouldn't necessarily get, like James Banana. You're like, what the fuck has James Banana got to do with anything? It is, in fact, because the composer who worked on all those classic Hammer films from the late 50s and 60s with Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee was called James Bernard. And they thought this was enough of a cultural touchstone to put a fucking pun in an NES game about. Bonkers. But yeah, so even though some of it was going over my head at that stage, because I was about 4 when I played Castlevania, I knew enough about, the horror films that it was inspired by that it just sort of like this video game is kind of imitating a movie, and it definitely, that stuck in the memory very much.
There's in the Punch-Out for Wii, the credit sequence that rolls through, there are names that are likewise goofy, or misspelled or otherwise odd that you punch to get points, which is kind of a fun thing to actually force you to read them, like which ones of these are wrong. But the Konami ones are real fun. I think my pick for weird credits is definitely Chrono Cross. Chrono Trigger, relatively normal. Things are kind of okay. Chrono Cross is a woman dressed as, I can't remember what the princess's name is now. Walking around Tokyo specifically, in cosplay, in black and white footage as the credits play, and there's, as you would expect, good music going.
Oh, it's an all-timer, that's, I mean, it became almost obligatory that you had to have a vocal song in Japanese games to close out. I assume it's in Japanese cinema as well as video games, that's kind of where it comes from. But, it did become kind of obligatory in the CD soundtrack kind of era onwards.
Yeah.
And I'm not always that big of a fan of it. There's a lot of times where it just feels kind of forced. Like this soundtrack doesn't really, it doesn't fit in. It's not kind of, it doesn't feel kind of,
Disaster Day of Crisis says hello.
It doesn't say Sin and Punishment 2 on Wii. Like, has a vocal ending. So it's just like, really? Like, that's when it feels obligatory. But that one for Chrono Cross is an all-timer. Although again, Chrono Trigger, not vocal, it's on Super Nintendo, but the name of it again now? I'm trying to remember. Far Away Times, I think it is. That's Mitsuda on record as saying it came to him in a dream. The actual, the melody itself, but it is incredible.
Sure. That sounds like something he would say.
Also sounds like something that someone might have said that nearly worked himself to death working on the game. Yeah, I think
which is believable.
He was not well in many respects. But.
So I said it's video of her wandering around, but that's not actually how it starts. It starts with a bunch of clips from video in the game, and then you get shots of a woman in just modern Japan going, what the fuck is happening here? This is never explained. That's on you to figure out. Fuck off. Like, I remember, I didn't know this going into that game. This game takes a long time to beat because that final boss battle has that stupid color pattern bullshit. And this shit happens, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening right now? I am not. And then it just ends. You're back on the title menu. Have fun. We're never going to explain this. That's on you. This is your problem. They came to me with this. They put it in front of me after, I don't know, 70 hours and said, this is your problem now. We're not going to answer it. And walked away.
I don't know. I have no idea. I've not played Chrono Cross the end, but I'm aware of what's on. I do know the character name, but I won't say, because it's kind of a spoiler. So even though it's a really old game, so we'll avoid saying the character name. But I don't know exactly how sort of legitimate this parallel is, or obviously this is like compound layers of open to interpretation, but there is an interpretation of the final episode of the new Twin Peaks from 2017 that is that it's quite a similar ending to Chrono Cross.
Chrono Cross is an absolutely bonkers game to start with, and then they're just like, oh, by the way, here, have this ending that won't make you feel good. It will make you feel confused. And that's lovely. But that's not my pick. I like playable credit sequences. I think they add to the experience. Bonanza has a pretty good credit sequence. It's really the stage you're coming out of, and then you're just kind of getting to travel back to the surface. Because if you're not familiar with Bonanza's plot, the idea is DK has gone underground, and he's going to go all the way down to get a wish granted to go back to the surface. Him and Pauline. That's it. They want to go back to the surface. And so you essentially get to fly back up to the surface, which is cool. That's fun. You get to see a lot of stuff as you pass. You get a really fun song. And you can kind of move DK around. I can't remember. Can you hit things as you're moving around? I think you can. Yeah, you get gold. But at that point, gold is trivial because you just went through a stage that's literally made of gold. Collecting gold is no longer relevant for anything. You have more than you will ever need. Especially if you've been using the elephant form down there. But, I won't give away, I'll talk about it a little bit. The DK Island sequence that you get in the DLC. I talked about it. There's the 2,000. The 2,000 point goal you get that is sort of the end of the initial set of targets for Emerald Rush. A credit sequence plays after that, but it's fully interactive. It's timed. I think it's like 300 seconds, which matches with Emerald Rush. But you just get to run around DK Island, and they've put all the credits in and around the island. So it's just like large name title, just everywhere. And you can smash all of them. You can destroy the credits. And there's a path you can follow where you'll get the credits in order, but you don't have to. You could just run around and look everywhere. They have covered DK Island in the credits of the game, and that's very fun and very stupid. And I enjoy it quite a lot. So it's not maybe the best sequence I've ever played, but it's memorable. It's going to stick with me for a while because it's fun to see this island that I've been running around in doing Emerald Rush, because at that point you don't have that many places you can do it in. And suddenly it's been changed up and full of people's names everywhere. And it's not necessarily like a logical flow either. Like you come around and, oh, there's the director, and then you go in the next room. It's like, oh, here's the testing team. I like that. I like that they put the effort in. It's a way to use that area, the DK Island, which isn't that well used. It's mostly just there for benefit for your, like, as a tutorial for Emerald Rush and to be in a little nostalgia play, and finding one more use for it. So I really like that. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I don't, I think like Greg, mostly it's going to be, credits that when I was a kid, I have, fond memories of, and not necessarily because they were great, but just because I was a kid and I was seeing it for the first time. Like the Super Mario Land credits. I don't know. There's nothing really amazing about it. Mario takes Daisy into his spaceship and they fly away after killing Tatanga. Everyone knows what I'm talking about here, of course. And then the like the credits play while I had him. What's wrong with you tonight? Hip Tanaka, thank you. Hip Tanaka music plays, and it was amazing back then. Now it's a very short loop, and I realized that maybe it was not the height of music composition, but
for the Game Boy, it was pretty good. That's the thing, especially back then. The music was a lot of it, right? Because what they could display on a Game Boy or NES was a bit limited, for how like interesting visually the credits could be. So music is really, really bound up with it for me in that regard.
Yeah. And of course, like the Game Boy came with those earbuds, and so you would get like the full stereo experience, and they would often abuse it, the music composers on the Game Boy. Like you had to have one note playing one ear and then the next one in the other ear, and just back and forth like that.
Oh yeah.
That was kind of mind blowing back then, I guess, as a kid. Who had only experienced TV through, a TV with like one speaker on the side, basically. So I don't have like an amazing answer for this. It's all going to be Game Boy games. I guess Final Fantasy Legend 2. It does the whole thing where like you see your characters go through all the worlds that you visited, you experienced before. Because I was a kid, it was my first RPG. It took me probably a month to beat that game, and so like seeing all those past worlds that I had explored, because the game is kind of made up of a succession of worlds. There was actually kind of a feeling of like I'm reminiscing about all these places that I've been to so long ago. So that was cool. But then there's like this other kind of twist to it, and that like it was a kind of a poor translation, or I don't know what they were going for. So after the credits, the game opens up, like at the beginning of the game, basically like your dad tells you something like cryptic, and then escapes through you're basically you're in your bed, you're not even woken up, like you're and like he tells you like, okay, I'm leaving, and whatever, like take care. Then like he heads out the window, and so like there's that's mirrored in the ending after the credits. Your dad is like, I'm off to go see the world, and like you are like, yeah, let's go together. And then mom comes in the room and is like, take me with you, I'm tired of staying behind. But also the dad is like, I know, I'm gonna go find the Lost Ark. And it's like, what? Like I hadn't seen the Raiders of the Lost Ark yet back then, but I knew what it was a reference to, and I was like, what is this doing here? This doesn't make any sense, except that your dad is like vaguely this adventurer figure, and his sprite is represented by like as having a maybe if you squint, an Indiana Jones like hat, although it looks more like a cowboy hat to me. But
perfect.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I guess what I'm saying here is that the best credits were the most confusing credits you could think of back when you're a kid who barely understands English, in games made by people who barely understood how to write English. And so, I don't think they make those anymore very much.
It is the example that is cited here of Ocarina of Time is interesting because it sort of, a lot of credits put some story after them or immediately before them, to wrap up the plot. But in a weird way, it really only makes sense to put it in the credits for this because Link doesn't get to engage with the world after Ocarina of Time ends. Like, right. He's thrown back into his childhood. Enjoy no fruits of your labor, young man. But I think Skyward Sword is the last Zelda game that does that, where it's like, here's what's going on in the credits. Because Breath of the Wild, it's a bunch of images. It's a bunch of images with the credits scrolling over them.
Yeah, I think Wind Waker was like that too, wasn't it? Which is a bit bare bones. Like, it's just kind of obviously you've got.
They probably ran out of time again.
Yeah, it did feel a bit that way because it became a bit of a standard, right? Like, even if you go back to Link to the Past, right? And this was definitely a really memorable credit sequence for me because, like, the Zelda, Link to the Past, that was the first Zelda game I'd played, and really the first game of that sort that felt like a grand adventure, and you kind of, at the end, you get to see everything in Hyrule put right. Everything that was bad is good again. The king's alive again. The flute boy that got turned into a tree is back, and everything's good. And then you have the second half of the credits where it's just like dawn on the Dark World. The Dark World is like reborn as a nice place to live or something, through very limited sort of visual information. But, again, especially with the music, you kind of you get what they're going for. And then Ocarina of Time, as referenced in Hammer's email, it's kind of similar, right? You get to see everybody enjoying the fruits of Link's labour. It's like everything's everyone's liberated in Hyrule before you get a kind of second half where it's Link goes back and Navi just flies off because she's had enough. And
understandably, to be honest.
And then that kind of like, weird, like, freeze frame of him with Zelda. Like, what does this mean? Like, it was kind of an interesting way to, but yeah, to then have Wind Waker doesn't really have anything like that. And I guess, some of the more recent ones as well. Does feel like it's kind of not following the tradition a bit, but it's not always, it's hardly mandatory, is it?
No, I don't know. I don't think any of the Mario games have had playable. Oh no, it's like I want to say that the DS games had playable credits, or the 3DS games had playable credits.
You've definitely New Super Mario Brothers in particular. I think is like where you get like kind of you can compete. I think if you're in multiplayer, maybe for like who gets to like bop the most names coming up or something. I forget, but it's something like that.
It's very Smash Brothers-y in how it does it. Whereas, like that it's kind of like, well, other things have done that, so sure. I don't know. Like there's some more narrative-focused games that have put credits into a story context that I enjoyed. There's one where that I'm going to go with, the MGS5, where the story just sort of ends because things happened around that game. Let's just put it that way. And we just had this like 12-minute sequence sitting in the back of a Jeep while the bad guy tells us what the plot was. And then the credits roll, and I just went, what the fuck? That's like, it's memorable, not for good reasons, but I remember it. I remember thinking, how the fuck is that the end of this game? What the fuck happened here? And like, I knew what happened here, and I was still thinking to myself, what the fuck happened here? Because this is a goddamned mess. I don't know, John, you got anything?
Yeah, I always liked, for me, just one that sticks out from way back is I really liked the ending to Super Mario Brothers 2.
Where it's like a stage show.
Yeah, to start off with, and you have like, Wart gets carried across by, the little friendly guys and beat up off camera kind of thing, and then it switches to the full page, or the full screen picture of Mario sleeping as all of the enemies scroll by. At the time, that was actually very different. That was a very elaborate ending compared to most NES games at that time, especially with like the full screen image was really different at the time. I remember being very, very impressed by that. So that was a really, really good ending. Recently,
it was one of the little tastes of anime that we got as kids.
Yeah,
as a
exactly.
treat.
It was very, very unique at the time. And so, and I talked about the Gears of War one was pretty funny, where it's like pretty much it's all these guys saying like, "Thank you to my family thank you to my wife for not divorcing me because I was crunching on this project for so long," which is pretty much the entire credits for Gears of War. But yeah, I remember like the Metal Gear Solid. Some of those ones are absolutely just bonkers and go on forever. And of course, Batman Arkham City, obviously a classic because my name is in it. So
there you go.
Now I can only think of like the best credits that never were. Like, who doesn't think that GoldenEye would have been much better if Rare had followed Miyamoto's suggestion of having James Bond go and, give a handshake to all the people he killed. Like, basically, they're all, like, at the hospital or something.
That would be better. What are you talking about? That'd be amazing.
I know.
It could have had the sort of worked with the convention with James Bond films, whereas James Bond will return after he's made restitution to all the families of the people you've shot.
I want to say Bayonetta had a weird playable sequence at the end too.
Yeah, they Platinum always do a little bit of that, right? Wonderful 101 I can think of, like, which maybe always is strong, but certainly they've done it multiple times. Yeah, and they do. And Bayonetta is just stupid fucking dance number or whatever.
That's right. Yeah, because they end up on a car or something.
I don't know how, like, self-aware or not that is, you know what I mean? It's like, it's so camp, like, but I don't know whether it's like, yeah, we're going to do something really camp, or whether they think it's actually good. I don't know, but it kind of works regardless.
Lord.
The one recent example I could think of something that worked for me relatively was the credits to Future Redeemed, the Xenoblade 3 DLC, because it was a relatively rare case where it's like you have the credits to a game and it's referencing multiple games. Yeah, this is DLC for the third Xenoblade Chronicles game, but it's in the credits. It's got clips of the first game, the second game, the add-ons and all that kind of stuff. And then to throw something else in, they've got the song, the somewhat obligatory vocal ending song, is performed by the vocalist who was on the closing vocal song for Xenogears. The way back like 25 years earlier. So it just kind of gives it this sense of kind of finality, which obviously, yes, generally closing, credit songs go for, but it's like, how do we like connote a greater finality, something that really feels, kind of, decade spanning, and they did it in that way. So, they pulled off what they were going for there.
Anybody else?
Nope.
Okay, cool. All right, we are going to move on to the next email. And, John, would you read it?
Sure. Gary writes, RFN crew, I have a bone to pick with James. He mentioned multiple times after the September Nintendo Direct how he often catches glimpses of his Virtual Boy at the end of his game shelves, and how he had to go get 6 AA batteries to play it. I'm confused on both counts. If James is the sicko I think he is, and I am, why is it not in the box, and why does he not have the AC adapter tap that allows you to plug an SNES power adapter into the controller for infinite play, photos included? I thought he was dedicated. I guess I've been wasting 15 years listening to this podcast of non-believers. Long live Virtual Boy.
So, two things.
A lot of us think that we've been wasting 15 years, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, that's sad, but okay. So first off, I did not buy my Virtual Boy new because I was a child. And so I did not have the capacity to buy a Virtual Boy new.
It was $30. If you wanted one, you would have found a way.
I was a child, and I did not have any money. I was moneyless. I was not given allowances and whatnot. I was without currency of my own. So I did not have one, but also that means my Virtual Boy never had, it had a box at some point. I never possessed the box of my Virtual Boy. I bought it used in the early 2010s before the market on those upticked really hard. And so I don't have a box. I never had a box. Which also means I didn't have it at the time when the AC adapter was readily available, because Nintendo did produce an AC adapter. I believe it was called the Power Pack or something equally just dumb. There are various devices, I'll use that term, that exist that give you the capacity to leverage the Virtual Boy in a modern context. But the device that he is showing is a Nintendo product that is not new, that yes, it ends up using the same adapter as the Super Nintendo, or the same power supply as the Super Nintendo, and so essentially they could release that. If the Virtual Boy had come out in a market where it was necessary for them to make this adjustment, they could have simply relied on the fact that the Super Nintendo already handled the voltages in Europe, for example, and just adapted it into the device that they replaces the battery pack. Those are very expensive now, and in fact, the cheapest way to get one of those is import it from Japan. They regularly run it north of $100 new in box, or even used. For a North American unit, you can get one from Japan for like 60, 70, but of course, it's a piece of electronics with capacitors in it that have definitely melted over the years, and capacitors leak after time, and they no longer function. So how long that adapter is going to work, who can say? So I have not ever bothered to acquire, but also, again, the Virtual Boy is not exactly something that needs unlimited play because I have reached the limit of its play. However, as a consequence of the conversation and playing with the Virtual Boy and thinking about the Virtual Boy, all of these things are dangerous. If you want to challenge my credentials as a sicko, I have been doing research. And the Retro Onyx website, which is a site that produces, largely speaking, products for various retro hardware, but specifically has a lot of Virtual Boy components, have produced a power adapter for the Virtual Boy themselves. This is a unique Virtual Boy adapter that is powered by USB-C. So essentially you would provide your own USB-C adapter, you'd plug it in, it plugs into the back of the controller port just like the batteries do, and then you're done. It's $44 with $11.25 shipping. I have considered it. I have been, in fact, looking at it multiple times since our conversation with respect to the Virtual Boy. Retronix is also the producer of Virtual Boy flash carts. They currently have one that is available. John, would you like to guess? I'm going to give you some background on it, so I'm not going to make you guess out of the blue. The Mr. Kart, MR Kart, is a Virtual Boy multi-cart with on-screen game selection. It is, I do not believe that it possesses any games on it. I think you load them in. It contains a 32-bit flash memory and SRAM for save capability, and it takes micro SD HC cards for storing games. Game sizes of up to 4 megabytes are supported. That basically covers the entirety of the Virtual Boy library, unless it's a homebrew thing, which there are a number of. How much do you think this hand-built custom SD card adapter that plugs into the Virtual Boy with a launcher baked into it will run someone?
What, like $100?
Okay, that's a guess. Greg, Guillaume, you got any guesses?
I'm having trouble picturing what we're talking about. Not the foggiest.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. So for those who aren't sure what this is a Virtual Boy cartridge that has an SD card slot in it, and you put the SD card slot full of Virtual Boy ROMs in, plug it in, and rather than getting a Virtual Boy game, you get a launcher and you can pick it, and then you can play the game, the ROM on the SD card.
I would say...
Oh, go ahead.
No, well, 250?
Close, $235.
Yeah. It's kind of similar to the device that I got for the Saturn, and that I ended up not really similar. Using. It was called the Satiator or something. Yep. Since then, something better, like cheaper, came out that uses but yeah.
This is the better, cheaper, because they've been producing these Virtual Boy flash carts for a number of years.
Right.
There was the Hyper Boy. There was the original multi-cart V1. And then they made a bunch of other ones that have like ROMs on them that are things that people have made. They also produce a expansion, the link cable. They produce the third-party link cables. I have sat around thinking about buying all of these products. Why would I buy the link cable? I only have one Virtual Boy. Because you challenge if I'm a sicko or not, motherfucker, and I'm looking at buying a cable that I will never get to use. I'm not going to buy it. I can't buy it. But this site also, to give you an idea of how sick this website is, They produce products for multiple retro systems. These systems include, and in fact are limited to, the Virtual Boy, the Dreamcast, the Wonder Swan, and then they have a miscellaneous, and it is essentially a place to put the Power Glove gamepad adapter, which is an $85 adapter for the Power Glove, which I also own. I own a Power Glove somewhere. I don't know where it is. It's probably at my parents' house. Must be at my parents' house. Yeah, there's a Power Glove at my parents' house in a box somewhere. Fuck. I don't know why. I don't know why it's there. It is.
Nobody has any comment on that, James.
Is it just too weird?
I don't know. The thing is with a Power Glove,
I didn't buy it for myself. I didn't buy it for myself, just to be clear.
Oh, okay. That's even weirder.
But it was like, I think they bought it for like $10. I think they bought it for like $10. I didn't choose to be the owner of a Power Glove. I just happened to be one.
Well,
the
that's
glove
the thing.
chose you, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The Power Glove chose you, right? So
it does do that. It does do that.
So it was kind of destiny, I would say. You're,
the Power Glove of destiny. Yes.
Yes. It's so bad.
You're right. It is. It's actually terrible.
Like, how does it? Now I'm curious because I've never actually, had a Power Glove. I've never actually, used one. So what?
Yeah.
Like, what is? How does it feel? What does it feel like?
Too small for my hands is what it feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I can wear it. It's not great. I don't love it. So it doesn't feel good at anything, but essentially it can detect, I'm trying to think how best to describe it. Like every finger has some degree of detection. The glove detects you moving it around. So like it can detect roll and angle. And then it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good at all. It has a certain amount of like, it can sense motion. There's a thing that you put around the TV. It's super weird. And like nothing feels good with it. Like nothing, even games made exclusively for its usage do not feel good. They feel bad. And I don't understand how anybody thought it was good.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they didn't. I don't think they did, but essentially there's transmitters in the glove and it sends sounds and there are microphones on the TV. That's the if you think about with the Wii when they had the two lights, the sensor bar is a misnomer because the sensor bar doesn't have any sensors in it. I think it's three. I think it's three lights. I think it's one on the right side and two on the left side. And because the Wii knows how far apart those lights are, it can do triangulation. That's it. It's just doing triangulation. That's why the Wii needed to know if the sensor bar was above or below the TV. It's doing something very similar, but it's using microphones on the TV, and then the glove itself is emitting sound. It's really dumb, and it's doing triangulation by essentially measuring using a constant for the speed of sound.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh, you're 1/1,000,000th of a second longer for the top right microphone to hit the bottom right than hit the bottom left microphone.
Yeah.
Therefore, I can figure out that you're here. It needs 3 because that's what triangulation means. It doesn't need 4 because 1, if it had 4, that means that if your TV was super big, you couldn't use it because it would run down the side of the screen. And while 4 points of reference might give it better calculations, you could pretty much do it with 3. So that's why it's got 3, because they needed it to drape down one side of the screen, but they didn't need it to drape down both. And if it did both and you had a big screen TV, like one of those big rear projections from the 80s, it wouldn't make it to the other side of the screen before it dropped down. But also, if your TV was too big, triangulation didn't work. So, haha, have fun. Yeah, it's bad. Like, it's not bad in the it's so bad. It's just regular bad. It's just regular bad. Congratulations to the various parties involved in the production of the Power Glove. There's like 6. The Power Glove isn't a product of one person being bad. The Power Glove is a product of many people failing.
Yeah, but you can use it with regular games, right?
Yeah. I mean, functionally, all it's doing is registering that and turning them into inputs.
Yep.
Like ultimately, there's only so many inputs the NES can take. I mean, if you look at the plug, you can kind of count them. Mm-hmm. And so Mattel, in their infinite wisdom, decided this was the optimum way of producing a video game. Our video game controller. Mattel, makers of the Intellivision, have never made a good video game controller. Never will.
No, I would say the Intellivision controllers they're arguably the worst controllers ever. Like, they're up there.
They're certainly up there. Mm-hmm. There's the Jaguar's real bad. The Jaguar's real stinky because it's got the dial pad at the bottom for some reason. Like, the Mattel one, it looks like a phone, but it was the 70s, so, like, I give them a certain amount of leeway. Yeah. And the idea of the insert card, where you can slide a card in and it has the controls for the game, actually led, like, that happens in PC games in the early 90s. So they actually beat that by, like, 15 years as an idea.
Yeah.
So in a weird way, like, they were kind of on it. It's just the solution they landed on was bewilderingly stupid. Unfathomably unplayable and unusable. Whereas the Jaguar, at that point, they had no excuse. Like, it was
nostalgia. No.
It kind of, yeah, but Atari didn't have the 9-button thing. That wasn't them. That wasn't their idea. And, like, Atari was, like, weirdly, even as they moved on, was, like, weirdly strident about the whole, like, it needs a joystick thing. I mean, the 5200 had the number pad on it, but they basically took that from the Intellivision and then put a big fucking joystick on the end, which I guess is better than a goddamn circle pad, which is not the circle pad. That's different. Yeah, the 5200 controller might be worse, John. It's because they knew better.
Yeah.
Like, that's the problem. Like, it's not as bad as to play as the Intellivision. Because Intellivision had this disc rather than like a normal D-pad or a joystick or whatever. That's real fucking nasty. But it's up there. It's the 5200. They should have known better. Like, the Intellivision, whatever, it is what it is. This is a thing that had no reason to exist. It is beyond bewildering what they were going for here in, what would that have been, like 92, 93? I can't deal with the Atari 5200. It's bad. No, that actually was before that. It was 82. It was the early 80s. Yeah. So all right. So maybe I'm not giving them enough credit. I'm not giving them enough grace. It's still a piece of shit. The trackball controller is kind of neat looking, though. It looks like you're sitting at the console getting ready to launch the nukes.
Yeah. I wish trackball controllers were still a thing.
You and Sakurai.
Yeah. They're very hard to come by now. I figured you would at least be able to get one for something.
If you've seen the Taito eGrit 2 Mini or whatever it is, it's like Taito's. Sega did the Astro City Mini or whatever, right? They're kind of
yes.
Their mini cabinet, right, and had some arcade games on there, some of which they haven't really re-released elsewhere, like that one Golden Axe game, I think, Revenge of Death Adder and a few other things, but Taito's version had a couple of unique features, one of which is like you can actually rotate the monitor for different aspect ratio games. So you can do, Tate mode as well as, the regular one. But they also had these kind of packs, like an SD card with different games, to expand the number of games. And one of those came with a trackball and spinner controller to play games that use those. These are the people that gave us the paddle controller thing, for DS Space Invaders Extreme. So, you've got essentially that kind of interface and a trackball for some, I think there's a golf game. There's a few different things. So yeah, that's one of the rare cases I can think of a trackball controller. It's only in Japan, I think, pretty much. Well, no, there was some sort of release in the US as well, I think, at some point, but it's still a thing in Japan. I think they're still bringing out games for the expansion cards for that eGrid 2 Mini even now. And I think there's going to be a bit of a re-release later this year in Japan. So Taito's still kind of within, they're sort of a subsidiary of Square Enix these days, aren't they? Within their sort of churning out nostalgia products.
Thinking about the Casio PV1000 now. Why am I? There's a lot, the joystick control, John, the guitar had the joystick control with one button, and then eventually it got two buttons, but those buttons did the same thing because fuck you. And then the 5200 had the joystick, the two buttons, and then the number pad. The 7800 just had the joystick, but it still had the place where the number pad would have gone. So there's just this long tail on it for some dumbass reason. But a bunch of other people also stuck with the joypad. Remember, the SG-1000's default controller was Atari-style joypad with single button. But I'm now thinking about the PV-1000 from Casio, and it's maybe the worst one of those because it's this tiny little stick. I don't even know. Amiga CD32. Its controller's upside down. It's the bone shape. There we go. I did it. Its controller's U-shaped.
Yeah.
Fucking what?
Yeah.
CD32 is real. Oh, the Dreamcast. Dreamcast had the worst controller. The cable came out of the wrong end. The cable comes out of the wrong end of the Dreamcast controller.
Yeah, I feel like the Dreamcast controller was sort of it was the predecessor to the Duke kind of thing.
Definitely. But the Duke's control, at least had the cable, had decency, had to come out the front.
Yeah.
Because the reason it comes out the back, for those of you who don't remember, because this came out almost 30 years ago now, is they had the VMU unit. So there was a big hole in the Dreamcast screen, which 90% of users never got any value out of. And so, because the Dreamcast had two ports in the front, which, did the Duke have two? I want to say the Duke had two as well. One for the memory card, one for the Rumble pack, because the Dreamcast controller didn't have Rumble baked in. Yeah. Or one for the VMU and one for the Rumble pack. They didn't have a place to drag the cable out of, so it came out of the back towards the user and then wrapped around the bottom of the controller. Shrug. I don't know.
Yeah.
CD32 is still worse. It's garbage. Anyway, yeah, if you want to step to me about being a sicko, I just gave y'all a lecture on why the CD32 is a bad controller. I didn't look that up. I just that's the one that's shaped like it's the yaw handles of an airplane from World War II.
Yeah.
With the bad
D-pad. The CD32 was one of those things. It's what were they even thinking with that whole system? It was just crazy. That was right there in that sweet spot where everybody wanted to be the big multimedia company, where everybody had to have something with a CD-ROM in it. Very much like 3DO time period, where everybody was trying to get into it.
Yeah.
That was terrible. Yeah. And all of those systems were terrible.
Work. They were all bad. John, Seren linked me to this. I don't know if it came out today or if it came out earlier this week, but one of the leading members of Activision back in the early days, up into and after the point that Kotick bought the company out of bankruptcy, turned over his hard drives to his personal computer from his time at Activision.
I saw this.
It's the Video Game History Foundation.
Yes.
The shit they found on there is fucking wild.
Yeah, I haven't dug into this, but I did hear about this.
They released a trailer for the content they have found, and they talk about going to like conventions where they're showing video games. He's probably been not E3 because it had been pre E3. It had been what's the name of CES, and like you see his notes on all these fucking multimedia systems, including the Nintendo CD, which was not the Sony one because the PlayStation was already on their agenda. This was the Philips one.
Yeah.
So there's some stuff in there that's interesting. So you can go watch the trailer for that, and then you can go dig around in his papers if you want.
Yeah.
But it's weird. It's fucking weird. What a weird era.
Yeah. There was so much going on in that era. There was a lot of companies that were just sticking anything to the wall. Very much kind of reminds me of like the way VR was maybe about 10 years ago, where you could get billions of dollars to make anything, even if it was, vaporware.
Well, it's a good news we've learned from that, and we'd never do that again.
Well, the new thing is like the smart glasses, like Ray-Bans and stuff like that. That's the new thing. That's coming.
There was a CEO who said, if you don't wear smart glasses, you're behind the times. And I'm like, motherfucker, they have...
All right.
They have 0.00001% market penetration.
Yeah. I mean, I've used... this is totally off topic, but I mean, I've worn the Ray-Ban, the Meta glasses, and they're cool. They're cool, but I mean, I didn't feel like when I took them off, I didn't feel like I was suddenly behind the times. It was just like, oh, suddenly I don't have a camera on my face that I can turn on at will, and I didn't have speakers that play music directly into my ears. So.
I have those already. They're called headphones and a phone.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like I have, it doesn't do anything. The only thing that I could think of that it would be probably pretty useful for is if you were a tourist and you were, you wouldn't have to pull out your phone and film anything. You could just tap your glasses or whatever, and it would automatically start filming something, whatever. But that's a very, or
if you're a creeper, John.
That's exactly that. But this is it. Like this is the kind of niche stuff that it's useful for. But it's like it's nothing. Like I'm not going to go out and pay $300.
Creeper is just like this niche interest to John.
Tourists and creepers.
Yeah. So there you go. So
we're going for the creeper market here.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. It's it's funny because one of the things that people criticize in the one article I read, they said a lot of people were uncomfortable with having a camera on their face at all times. I'm like, okay.
I'm uncomfortable with being in a room with someone with the camera on their face at all times. Like,
right?
I would rather you not, sir.
A camera that's produced and marketed by Facebook, no less, who is well known for their privacy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to wear a mask the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So
this
is what happens.
A scanner darkly a reality.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Does it have to look like shit? Because Scanner Darkly looked like shit.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got one more email, and I'm going to ask Yom to read it because it's relevant to the game that he talked about today.
Sure. Biconite writes, "Hey gang, I've never beat a Kirby game before, but have found myself playing through Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Nintendo Switch 2 Edition, and Star-Crossed World. This led to me and my wife discussing who could beat Kirby, quote-unquote. The answer we agreed on was no one. Could you all enlighten us to anyone that could wrangle this pink balloon? Thanks for the insight."
Can God make a destructive pink being that he himself cannot destroy?
What is that story of like some nerd asking some comic book artist who would win between Batman and Superman, and the guy being like, who gives a shit? Like it's just whoever the writer decides wins,
right?
Like that's what happens. So yeah, anyone that I guess at Nintendo, if someone decides at some point, I really want that Kirby to eat shit. You know,
that's the thing. The thing is, though, is that Smash Brothers is like the one place where this sort of thing could get quote unquote settled. And guess who runs that? The guy that created Kirby. Yeah. So when you get, Smash Ultimate and it's like, oh, everybody's dead except Kirby. Yep. Kirby's the one guy that doesn't get got, and he brings back everybody else. So it's like, I think the conclusion of Kirby being answerable to no one and nothing is you can't really argue with it. It's just
he has immense plot armor.
Also, it's just like they take him places that Mario is never going to go, right? Like Mario, it does go into like crazy space scenarios and some like far-flung stuff, but at the end of the day, there is still some kind of deference to the notion that he's a bit of an everyman. Whereas with Kirby, it's just like, no, like he can take down cosmic terrors. He may, in fact, be a cosmic terror himself. Like, I think the last boss of Star Allies, like, it has some sort of, like, little Kirby inside of it. So it's almost like, it's suggested, like, he is akin to one of these things that he beats at the end. But it's just like, he's, like, chill. He doesn't want to consume the cosmos. He just wants his strawberry cake or whatever. So it's fine. And that we just have to accept that. We live at his pleasure, essentially.
Yes. I mean, the reality of the situation is anything can defeat Kirby because regularly, the vast majority of players who play a Kirby game do not defeat Nightmare. And I could say Nightmare because Nightmare, that game has been remade like 3 or 4 times at this point. They don't even make it to Nightmare. They're defeated by, I can't remember what the name of the spike enemy is. The one that's just a black ball with spikes on it that just floats up and down.
The Krakow is the spiky cloud boss, so let's go with that.
Yeah.
I think is it Gordo? Is that?
It is Gordo, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, they're killed by Gordo at the start of the game and never progress any further. Like
because they're
Kirby
literally
is,
children. Yes.
Yeah, or Kirby's not undefeatable. That's the difference. It's the difference between being all powerful and invincible. Kirby's not invincible. It just has effectively unlimited power through his power. Well, no, because actually it depends on what game you're playing. Again, because they actually put limits on his power in Kirby and the Forgotten Lands.
Yeah, they did. It's 3D. They kind of had to, but yeah,
he can't swallow a car.
You can only cover it.
Right. Like, look, it's different.
I'm not completely giving up. I can still cover this thing and control it, if not absorb it and like become part car or whatever the hell happens when he does his copy ability thing. So yeah, still like they are not key things. They had to actually limit how high he can go because it's probably one of the more vivid demonstrations of being overpowered. It's like you are in the side-scrolling platformer genre. And you can essentially float infinitely as standard, not through a power-up. He is
What's the problem here?
Quintessentially overpowered character in the history of video games.
I don't see the issue. Everything seems fine and normal with this arrangement. Yeah, like Kirby's not unbeatable. Like DDD beats him all the time if you're a bad player. It's just a question of like you're right. He's just massively overpowered. So honestly, if you lose as Kirby, it's really a you problem, not a him problem. He is presumably susceptible to magic, as we've seen in multiple games where he's transformed into yarn or some shit. So I guess if you have magic to turn him into something that itself can be consumed,
so
someone could eat
he's
Kirby.
Like Superman that way. Yeah, Superman is weak against magic.
Superman can be harmed by magic. I like the idea.
The only person capable of beating Kirby is Richard Pryor.
Oh, God.
That's what I'm getting from this.
Oh, God.
He can come up with, like, the special Kirby night or whatever.
I'm gonna make you watch The Apple if you bring this up again. I'm gonna make you fucking watch The Apple if you bring up that Superman again.
Superman 3, beloved classic. That wasn't even when Golden Globus took over the license. That was pre-Globus, Superman 3.
Was it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Globus one is Quest for Peace with Nuclear Man, not Richard Pryor.
Oh, God, you're right. I thought, oh, Jesus. That's even worse. Like, it's such a bad movie that I thought it had to be
Superman 3 has some
related.
great scenes. I don't know.
It's
like
way better than Quest for Peace. Let's just...
Well, that's...
Make
That's
sure
like
that's
saying
himself at some point. He fucks with the Italians by unleaning the Tower of Pisa. He just, I don't know.
Everything you're describing sounds like a Golden Globus. Oh, he unleans the Tower of Pisa. That sounds like something that those hacks would have put in a movie.
Yeah, but that's probably when they thought they could get it. It's like, oh yeah, this is they're working outside of the street here. We got get it.
You're right. No, God forbid I misread the situation and assume that they had artistic vision. No, there's none to be found here. God damn it. But presumably, if you are a magic, I'm blanking on the name of the Magic Koopa. I was like, why can't I remember the name of the Koopa that uses magic? Oh, right.
Kamek.
Yeah, presumably Kamek or Magic Koopa, or whatever we're calling him in that particular instance, could transform Kirby into some kind of food, because Kirby can obviously be transformed, and then you could eat Kirby. Shoes on the other foot now, asshole. Having been to Japan, I have seen Kirby in food form. I know it's possible. So if you eat that bread that had, I think it had meat in it.
It's possible. Kirby can be
that's shaped like Kirby. You could eat Kirby, and then you gain his awesome power.
Yeah, but the thing is, would he inflate inside of you and then blow you up?
No,
and
because
destroy you?
He could, couldn't he, if he wanted to? Because is he meant to be really tiny as well, like relative to us? But yeah, he could just puff up and kill you at any moment. It'd be like a really horrible version of Inner Space, more horrible.
But you've eaten him. That's the thing. Like, is he still alive to make the conscious decision?
So you're saying he's been digested, in other words?
Yeah. Haven't we all been digested these days? Like, isn't that where we're at as a society?
In more ways than one, brother.
I haven't had the pleasure quite yet.
Metaphorically speaking.
Guillaume was talking earlier on about the things in the Waddle Town, that make you can avail yourself of, and one of them is like like you get food, right? That you can take in as like a consumable into a level, and some of that food is like just Kirby, so he ends up like eating things that are like based on him.
Right. Yes.
That's pretty bizarre. Again, I think you've got to be pretty self-confident to say, you know what, there is nothing weird about me eating this thing that is a fairly accurate depiction of me.
All right. So let's ask the obvious follow-up question. If there was a cookie shaped like your face in a comedic, cartoonish way that someone made for you, could you eat it?
Actually, that literally kind of happened to me, because they can print your face or whatever picture you want on, a cupcake these days. So Karen did that at some point. She found like a picture of me making a silly face, put it on, one of those edible sugar wafers on a cupcake, and it's photorealistic. It's literally my face, my photo. So yeah, sure, I ate it. I'm sorry, it's not that existential.
Oh, damn! I was really hoping for the existentialism, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, was it good? Good cookie?
It tasted sugary. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
All right.
They should make all those cupcakes like that distorted. Is it Marge with the face that's like slid, while it was getting scanned? Like they should just be that.
Beautiful. All right. Well, on that the horrifying image.
So we didn't even try to pit Kirby against Goku or.
I mean, you can if you want. I don't give a fuck. Let's do it.
Kirby is kind of Goku in a way, because his enemies become his friends afterwards. So
one way or another, and then whether he'll either eat them and like replace them with using their abilities, or he'll just cover them and presumably like command their brain in mouthful mode, or one way or another you're going on his side. We've seen you could use him from the Smash DLC, the Tekken DLC. You throw him in a volcano and he just floats out. It just can't be done. Can't beat that.
You're right. You can't beat that. I agree. The fun part about the Goku comparison here is that Goku is exactly as strong as the writers needed him to be at that moment in time, including if that is less strong than he was in potentially a scene that literally happened in the same episode. So there is a very Kirby aspect to that, where Kirby is exactly as strong as is necessary for the story to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that's perfect. All right, now can I end the show?
Yes.
Or do you need to compare him to somebody else too?
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Kirby can't do the splits.
No, but he can use his mouthful mode on his buttocks and then control them.
And can he dance like Jean-Claude Van Damme is what I want to know.
Yeah, no, we know he can dance.
The drunken dance scene in Kickboxer, I don't think anybody else could have pulled that off.
We know from the victory celebrations when you do the bonus stages that he can dance much better.
Yes, definitely.
So
no, I need to see the cover art you're going to make for this podcast now. The Kirby doing the splits.
No, it's 3 Jean-Claude Van Dammes.
I'm still sitting here with the Great British Sunset as my potential title episode.
Parenthetically disingenuous.
I think the image will make that point very clear.
Yes.
But the Power Glove of Destiny is also sitting here. Easy come, easy golf is what they called me in college. I've got options, unfortunately. This is, I'm going to have to make a call at some point, and I don't know how I feel about it. But Kirby doing the splits is hard to render because he can't. Because he doesn't have, see, the thing about doing the splits, you have to have legs.
Yeah, but that's the point. You could just you could control something that does have legs.
Do you want me to draw Jean-Claude Van Damme's ass pink? I can do that. Is that what everybody's asking for?
I think that's what Jean-Claude Van Damme would ask for. I think he was so proud of his rear end in the 90s that he wants the image of it to live on forever.
Yeah, like
I want it on the record. I tried to end the show 6 minutes ago. Just putting it out there. What other celebrities' glutes do you think deserve the Kirby treatment, John?
I don't know. I'm kind of, I don't know. I can't get JVD dancing and breaking out of my head now. I'm really, Dolph Lundgren? I don't know. I don't.
Dolph deserves better. Dolph deserves better than this. Yeah. Dolph deserves better than this whole conversation. That man has a PhD. What are we doing with our lives? All right. Anyway, podcast, emails, send them. RFN at NintendoWorldReport.com. Look what can happen. Look what can happen when you send an email. Did you think you were going to have to hear about JVD's ass being covered in a rubbery sentient being like it's the fucking symbiote? No, you didn't. And yet, here we are. Also, now I have to type JVC's ass. JVC's ass is the symbiote as a title.
Easy come, easy dolph.
God damn it!
Easy come, easy dolph. Wow.
I have so many titles now. I don't even know what you want me to do with this. But if you send your email to rfn at NintendoWorldReport.com, you can subject someone on this. The thing is, it's not the same person every week who suffers. It moves around a little bit. You can subject someone to suffering. And that's worth the effort, I think. So that's RFN at NintendoWorldReport.com. The emotional abuse can go both ways. And on that, it's time for us to end the show. But Greg, I need some music first.
Also, although I gotta say, if Bandai Namco do a direct sequel to Everybody's Got Golf Hot Shots, it better be called Part 2. Otherwise, I will be bitterly disappointed. And possibly feature Lloyd Bridges as a playable character rather than Pac-Man this time.
Easy come, easy golf, part 2.
But it's now this will not set the record for most belated request fulfillment. Not even particularly close, actually. But still, 5 years in the making. TGS, we talked about this last week. TGS, we went on between episodes. And, obviously plenty of news and things coming out of that. But one thing that resurfaced after going very dark for very long is Forever Entertainment's remake thing of Panzer Dragoon 2. Although, the logo is always like Panzer Dragoon 2 2, which is redundant and duplicative. So I don't know whether you're meant to say the 2 and the 2 or what. But anyway, you know what it is. And obviously Forever Entertainment, they did a remake of Panzer Dragoon a long time ago now. And then the second one is like, okay, now that's coming. And then Guillaume had referenced his Saturn sort of exploits a little bit earlier on. Mm-hmm. I believe you played Panzer Dragoon 2 at some point and made a request for a song from the soundtrack. And me, being the optimistic, relentlessly positive person that I am, thought, we'll just hold it until, that second remake can't be that far away. Something will come up about that pretty soon, and we'll use it then.
I don't even blame you for this one. This was on them.
Yeah, well, they are called Forever Entertainment. I suppose they feel like they have to live up to it. But I'm willing to split responsibility somewhat. I was naive on my part. Sure, I think that's fair. But 5 years later, it's finally happened. It's real. It's still coming. Actually, the Famicast have got a video up with some footage and things of some hands-on impressions and things. It feels somewhat encouraged there. I mean, it's probably not, how I would, if I could ideally choose my, how does Panzer Dragoon 2 become accessible again, it would be maybe if they had M2 level kind of emulation of Saturn games, like they've been able to get for, the Shot Triggers line of games that they've got for old shoot 'em ups, or, the Sega Ages stuff they've done. There's something up to that level, but for Saturn games like that'd be my preference for classic Panzer Dragoon games. But, we're not getting that. This is what we're getting when it's Forever Entertainment. We'll see. But, the Famicast impressions were somewhat positive, and hey, it's coming. It's going to be, it is a thing. It's still happening. So I thought, right, that's it. We pull the trigger. It's time all these years later. So this is, chapter 6 conclusion, from the soundtrack. And again, the soundtrack is a big part of the first, of those games. I remember I played the first one on a friend's Saturn quite a bit. And that was definitely one of the things that was really impressive about that to me was, obviously being on a CD system and all that. I'd only had the Super Famicom and not played that kind of thing before and all that. It made a big impression back then. But Zwei is the one I haven't played any of ever. Because I had, leaving Panzer Dragoon Saga out of it, naturally. I would be interested in this, but we'll just have to see how it turns out.
Awesome. Well, on that, it is time for us to go. Bye, everybody.
Later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.